Well, no mai, haere mai, piki mai, kake mai. Welcome to everyone joining us here for this session exploring the United Arab Emirates market through the now in force New Zealand UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Look, over the next 75 minutes, you'll hear from a range of speakers from both the public and private sectors, detailing a whole lot of opportunities in the UAE for Kiwi businesses, how best to leverage this new agreement, and how some of our exporters are already engaged in the market as well. My name is Joshua Tan. I'm the Executive Director for Export New Zealand. We're a part of the Business New Zealand network and also the industry representative group for the whole export sector here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I will be your MC for this session. Can I please acknowledge the partners who have come together to bring you this event alongside Export New Zealand as well. There's the New Zealand Ministry for Foreign Affairs and Trade, New Zealand Trade and Enterprise, Ministry for Primary Industries, and our friends at the New Zealand Middle East Business Council. This session is a continuation of the in-person events which we held in July this year. The interest was, of course, so strong in the market, so we had to come back with this webinar. Just in terms of how today will go, we've got a couple of speakers from the New Zealand government. His Excellency, the Ambassador of the UAE to New Zealand, will say a few words, and then our Trade Commissioner to the UAE will present his perspective on the market, lead a conversation with Vitaco's Craig Kearney and Carmen Vasilich from Velocity. We will then have the opportunity just for some questions from the audience to all of our New Zealand speakers, officials and business leaders included. You're going to be able to send your questions through to us as we progress the session. Just use the Q&A function as part of your or on your screen, and we will hold on to your questions till the Q&A session. The audience microphones today will remain on mute for the session. Today's session is just about helping New Zealand businesses take full advantage of the opportunities that the comprehensive economic partnership agreement with the United Arab Emirates can provide. Engaging with more free trade partners remains high on exporters' wish lists when we ask them what the sector actually wants from the New Zealand government. As the global environment becomes more complex and even more uncertain, the ability to grow and diversify our trading partners and our trading relationships and offer more opportunities for businesses is more important than ever. So, to start off the session, can I please introduce our first speaker, Barney Riley. Barney is the Divisional Manager for the Trade Policy Engagement and Implementation team here at the Ministry for Foreign Affairs and Trade. Barney is going to give us an overview of the CEPA agreement from a New Zealand perspective. Over to you, Barney.
Thanks very much, Josh, and kia ora koutou, everyone. It's lovely to see you all, and it is a real pleasure actually to give some opening remarks to this event today, and thank you all for joining us, and a special welcome to His Excellency the UAE Ambassador, Ambassador Al Kimzi. Salam alaikum, Your Excellency, it's good to see you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the UAE New Zealand Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, which I will shorten to CEPA. But before doing so, just to reiterate, what a pleasure and an honour it is for me to make these opening remarks. I personally, really value this opportunity. I've spent a lot of time in the Middle East, over 10 years of my life, in fact, and a mixture of Iran, Egypt, and most recently as our ambassador in Saudi Arabia. Your Excellency obviously went through the UAE many times over that decade, and I'm very familiar with your beautiful country. And so, I feel like I've got a personal connection with the Middle East, with the Gulf in particular. And so it's a real pleasure to be able to talk about this important trade agreement. So the opportunities in the UAE and the Gulf more broadly are, as you all know, substantial. And I'll just highlight briefly what those are this afternoon. The CEPA, it's a special free trade agreement for New Zealand, and that's for two reasons. It's our first free trade agreement with the Middle East, hopefully to be followed shortly by the signature of our free trade agreement with the broader Gulf Cooperation Council grouping as well. And it's a very high quality FTA, and I believe it's the highest quality of any of the UAE's CEPAs to date. And the United Arab Emirates is, of course, an important market for New Zealand, consistently within our top 20 markets. And, more importantly, or at least equally as important, a real hub for New Zealand trade, not only in the Gulf region, but more broadly as well. Under the CEPA, tariffs were eliminated on 98.5% of New Zealand's exports on entry into force, and that increased to 99% by the start of 2027. So that's a really fantastic outcome. Products that benefit from tariff elimination at entry into force include all of our major exports: dairy, beef, sheep meat, horticulture products, of course, apples and kiwi fruit, as well as seafood and forestry products. The final 1% of our exports without tariff elimination, it's mainly wine, do have a tariff reduction though, which is really important. It protects our competitive position in the market, along with a commitment from the UAE to any further liberalisation that the UAE may make in the future to another trading partner, so-called MFN obligation. So effectively that means that all of New Zealand's exports have preferential access in the UAE market. And likewise, the UAE exports have preferential access into the New Zealand market, with 100% of the UAE's exports now duty-free in New Zealand. But as you all know, it's not just about the tariff. Non-tariff barriers can be even more impactful than tariffs, particularly in markets where tariffs are not particularly high, which is the case with the UAE. So, to that end, the rules in the CEPA that make trade flow more smoothly are equally important as the tariff cuts, if not more important, I think. And that includes rules, for example, and commitments around releasing goods within set timeframes, and ensuring that custom processes are efficient and transparent. The CEPA also facilitates digital trade, including promoting the use of paperless trade, e-invoicing and e-payments. Electronic systems will be used for the advanced clearance of goods, which is really trade facilitating. And the CEPA enables advanced rulings on goods for purposes including origin, classification and valuation. So exporters will soon be able to apply, in addition, for the self-declaration of origin through New Zealand Customs. And so that's a really important trade facilitating rule. So altogether, the CEPA increases the ease and efficiency of two-way trade flows. It reduces red tape, and we think we'll be saving businesses time and money. It's not just about goods. Talked about digital trade already, but also our services exporters also benefit from the CEPA, from the enhanced transparency and certainty that the rules in the CEPA provide for sectors such as education services, professional services, including engineering, environmental services, audiovisual, important ones for New Zealand. Importantly, also, going to the social licence really for free trade, the CEPA contains the most comprehensive commitments on inclusive and sustainable trade in any FTA agreed by the UAE to date, including provisions to adopt and maintain internationally recognised labour standards. The CEPA also includes a chapter on Indigenous peoples, and that was a really welcome part of this agreement for New Zealand, and we really we're grateful for the UAE for understanding the importance of Indigenous trade for New Zealand, and also really helped by the connections that exist between many Māori enterprises in New Zealand and counterparts in the Gulf and in the UAE. And those sort of people-to-people links, ultimately are a really important part of an agreement such as the CEPA. So we want to help exporters utilise this great agreement, and that's that's what today is about. And we'll get into some of the details, but the text of the agreement and some other sort of helpful resources, such as a tariff finder, are available on the MFAT website, which we will encourage people to use, including an export help desk. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Drop us a line, and we've got some very high standard metrics for responding to inquiries. So hold our feet to the fire, please. And also, of course, other agencies have information for exporters, and we work very much as an NZ Inc. Collaboration with NZTE, MPI and Customs, who are involved today as well as with business, Export New Zealand, and the New Zealand Middle East Business Council. So we're all keen to do what we can to assist you and make the most of the opportunities that this CEPA provides in the UAE market. Kia ora, thank you.
Great. Thanks, Barney. And look, if I can just add my congratulations to all of the officials who negotiated this deal from a business perspective. Lower tariffs, improved customs procedures, that ability to address non-tariff barriers and reduce red tape for exporters, it does make it a win in our books. Overall, Export New Zealand's really happy with the outcomes. We supported the deal from the initial public consultation process all the way through parliamentary processes. And look, I think it's fantastic to see already some of those trade statistics also increase over the past couple months. It's now my pleasure to turn over to the Ambassador of the United Arab Emirates to New Zealand, His Excellency Mr. Rashid Al-Kimzi, to give his remarks on the opportunity for stronger Emirati-New Zealand economic relations. Ambassador, the floor is yours. Apologies, Ambassador, I don't think we can hear you at the moment.
What about now?
Perfect.
Okay, good. I have to switch the mic. Kia ora, assalamu alaikum, and a very good afternoon to all our distinguished guests joining us from around the globe. It's a true pleasure to be with you here today. While we do miss the warmth in-person meeting and perhaps a cup of coffee, of Arabic coffee, technology allowed us to connect in a meaningful way, and I am delighted to be part of this important conversation. I would like to sincerely acknowledge Mr. Barney Raleigh from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Dr. George Sopet, MPI and Market Access Counselor, and also Mr. Ahmed Zakout for his wonderful effort. My sincere thanks as well to Jude, Craig, Carmel, and entire team for making this webinar possible. So today, we are here to discuss a powerful engine for sharing prosperity, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership, CEPA. Now I know CEPA can sound technical, but in reality, it is very simple. Think of it not as a legal document, but as a strong bridge, connecting people and businesses of the United Arab Emirates with the people of Aotearoa, New Zealand. This bridge makes trade smoother, faster, and more affordable. It's like opening a dedicated fast lane for opportunity and lowering the toll gates. For entrepreneurs watching today, that is exactly the kind of traffic we are welcome. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of United Arab Emirates, often speak of UAE as a nation that builds bridges of cooperations. So we do not see ourselves as isolated or we see ourselves as connected to the world. We believe that when we open doors, we do not lose, we gain. So CEPA represents new opportunities for our businesses, support for small and large enterprises, greater investment and innovation, and shared sustainable growth. In UAE, we say the best investment is in the fields you have already sown. So our two nations have already planted the seeds for friendship. CEPA is how we help those seeds grow. To every business leader and entrepreneurs watching today, think about how this bridge can serve you. And for those who may feel unsure, do not cross the desert by waiting for perfect condition. You prepare, you take the first step. So consider the UAE your guide and CEPA as your path. So we are ready to support you. We are ready to support you. And before I conclude, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the dedicated team in both countries who work tirelessly and make this arrangement possible. They manage countless online times, document and discussion, and they still keep their sense of humor. That's why they deserve our gratitude. A gentle reminder, if you allow me to say something and announce something, tomorrow we will be celebrating the UAE Union Day and the 40th anniversary of the diplomatic relation between the UAE and New Zealand. So the celebration will take place at the Michael Fowler Center in Wellington at 6 p.m. So I'm inviting, it's an open invitation for all of you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your partnership. The future is bright and it is collaborative. I wish all of you a productive and insightful webinar. Shukran and thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your remarks. Some really strong analogies there, planting seeds for the relationship and seeing CEPA agreement as the way to see it grow and also using it as a strong bridge. It was great to have you join us here today, but then also for joining us in Auckland, Tauranga, and also Christchurch for the in-person events. It shows really great commitment from you and your government to this agreement and to the bilateral relationships, and all the best wishes for tomorrow's celebration as well. Our third speaker today is Georgette Soppert. Georgette is the Market Access Counsellor for the Ministry for Primary Industries. Georgette will speak to some of the important requirements to keep in mind when exporting food and fibre products to the UAE. Over to you.
Thank you, Josh. Kia ora koutou. My name is Georgette Soppert, as Josh has just alluded to. Your Excellency, it is lovely to see you online. Like you said, always nicer in person, but following that invitation, perhaps tomorrow at the Michael Fowler Centre. So thank you. So it is my pleasure to speak with you all today about a pivotal component of the CEPA, which is the Sanitary and Phytosanitary, or SPS chapter. So, as mentioned earlier, the UAE is one of New Zealand's largest markets in the Middle East, and it is the key gateway to the wider Gulf region. In 2024, we exported over $1 billion in goods to the UAE, with dairy, meat, horticulture and wine among the majority. These are sectors where SPS measures play a crucial role in facilitating trade. The SPS chapter builds on the close, effective cooperation and trust already established between New Zealand and the UAE. It incorporates two existing SPS Memoranda of Understanding that were signed in 2016. The memoranda recognise New Zealand's food safety and biosecurity systems as achieving the same animal and plant health outcomes of the UAE. This means that products meeting New Zealand's SPS standards are accepted as meeting the UAE's SPS requirements. This is a positive effect in streamlining trade, reducing costs, and promoting ease of trade for primary products and food. The memoranda also identified diseases that the UAE have agreed to accept regionalisation decisions on. Regionalisation allows for the recognition of pest and disease-free zones within New Zealand, so if a disease outbreak occurs in one area, exports from unaffected areas can continue. The SPS chapter commits both countries to base SPS measures on international standards and scientific evidence. This has the effect of reducing the risk of arbitrary restrictions and gives exporters more certainty. Importantly, the chapter also establishes a framework for ongoing cooperation. This includes mechanisms for resolving disputes, sharing information, and working together on emerging biosecurity threats. This kind of collaboration is essential for building trade resilience. Finally, New Zealand's halal certified meat exports are valued at around $4 billion annually. Halal was a specific topic that was negotiated under the Technical Barriers to Trade chapter of the CEPA. Recognising the importance of halal, both countries have agreed to deepen cooperation to facilitate trade in halal certified products. So, in summary, the SPS chapter of the CEPA is comprehensive and offers significant benefits in ensuring food safety, protecting animal and plant health, and facilitating primary sector trade. It provides a science-based, transparent, and cooperative framework that supports exporters, strengthens regulatory trust, and ensures that tariff benefits are not undermined by unjustified non-tariff barriers. I'm personally very excited by the opportunity that the CEPA presents, and I'm happy to assist where needed. Thank you.
Cool, thanks, Georgette. Some really important information there to keep in mind for our food and fibre exporters. Look, from an export New Zealand point of view, you want to do it right the first time, and part of that is about engaging with MPI as early as you can. If you do need more assistance, MPI have that incredibly helpful export help team as well. It used to be, I think, called the ERAS team, undergone a name change, but it still offers the same type of service. We'll have all of the links in the websites from MPI also available to you in a post-event email. Moving on now, we have Ahmed Zakut, who is our Trade Commissioner and Consul General in the United Arab Emirates. He's also our Trade Commissioner responsible for Qatar, the Levant countries, and Africa. Ahmed is going to give his perspective on the opportunities in the UAE, and then he's going to introduce and lead our business panel discussion. Ahmed, you are beaming in from Dubai. I think it's about 6 a.m. in the morning over there, so over to you.
Kia ora tatou. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, good morning. Thanks, Josh. I can just look outside and see the sun just slightly coming up. So, yeah. Look, I'd like to thank all our exporters for joining this webinar, and the panelists, all the friends. Thank you all for coming. Your Excellency Rashid, great to see you, and thank you for the ongoing support with our New Zealand companies till date. Craig, Carmen, great to have you both as part of this panel. It's awesome to have you here. Today, I want to talk about the opportunity not just for New Zealand but for our exporters. Thanks. Hey, I just wanted to ask: will we be able to share the slides, or should I?
I don't think we've got the slides available, Ahmed, unfortunately. Okay. Are you able to share them? Is he able to share them? Is he able to share them himself? You should be able to share them yourself, Ahmed.
Oh, we're going to test my IT skills, but I will give it a try.
Bear with us.
Apologies. Just if it doesn't work, please let me know.
That's perfect. We can see them.
Ah, fantastic. So just move some stuff around. Right. Cool. I know I've got a couple of minutes, so I'll go quick. The UAE was built on oil, but the UAE knows the oil era won't last. So they're making three big bets: becoming a world-class place to live. Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Ras Al Khaimah are leading the property sales, owning a regional tech leadership, building real industries that create real jobs, fintech, tourism, logistics. And they're doing it fast with ambition, with investment. That's why we need to be here. It's great to see these pictures. We can see the real estate boom across Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Ras Al Khaimah. I love this photo of the signing in January with the Prime Minister and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed and Dr. Thani and Mr. Todd. The UAE already imports about 85% of its food. Dubai, back in July, I said during the roadshow that Dubai is growing, or the UAE is growing about 1,000 people a day. That number has actually gone up. It's about 1,500 people a day on average of residents coming into the UAE. So it's just fantastic. It's buzzing everywhere we go. But here why that's changed with CEPA. New Zealand has now access to zero tariffs on 98.5% of our exports. Importantly, for our partners, the UAE has signed 28 trade agreements under the CEPA, making it a zero tariff export hub to multiple continents. And I'd like to point that out for a lot of our exporters by using the UAE or the free zones, bringing in the product, doing some value add and accessing the other CEPAs. That is a real value that will be looked at in the next few years. This is the first time a small and mid-sized New Zealand companies can get real traction without being buried in barriers. But access isn't success. You need to show up, stand out, and scale smart. This is it's full on, and we can send this to everyone afterwards. But the opportunities for New Zealand is strategic market access, F&B exports, service innovation. It just gives an overview of the opportunities in the UAE and what we will be looking at. I'll just go into some of the benefits that we see. 707 million dairy products, tariffs eliminated at entry into force, which is August this year. Industrial products, 242, tariffs are eliminated as well. Horticulture, red meat, wine, 10% tariff reduction, and any future liberalization extended to New Zealand. The agreement has entered into force on the 28th of August, and it's great that we've got all of the NZ Inc. support from self-declaration that's coming through for goods of origin. This is early in 2025, NZ conducted a primary consumer survey on 364 red meat consumers in the UAE. Those who had eaten beef and lamb for the past 6 months. We asked them a range of questions about their red meat, purchasing habits, and priorities. Product quality is the leading purchasing priority of red meat consumers in the UAE, 39%. This is followed by country and origin and price. New Zealand is a high quality producer and therefore essential for success in this market. Awareness of New Zealand is high, and we are working to bring that up as well to compete with others. And this is a really deep dive red meat that will support our exports into the UAE. We also conducted a similar research with a similar amount of 300 fresh fruit consumers. We can see New Zealand is rated at 52% based on the quality and the freshness, and where do consumers see New Zealand. Apples, 45% increase, 32% and 46% for cherries, for kiwi fruit. It's great to see exports year on year till June 2025 is about 1.35 billion. And hopefully we can see that growing slowly with CEPA. What does this all mean to you? I put these three pictures, not to promote a specific brand, but I just want to highlight why. Food and bev, trusted brands are scaling fast. You need to be market specific, brand your product to that specific market. So we do work with companies on how your brand will be perceived in this market. Smart manufacturing like Rabdan, an EV built on with government backing to build local jobs in the UAE. Tech and services, Khazna, for an example, a US $1 billion data center with Microsoft, built on regional AI leadership. And we've seen the announcements on AI that are coming into Abu Dhabi and the UAE and the investment over the next couple of years. So you need to be in market and to access some of this investment. But you can't just wing it. And I put these pictures because I've been told pictures stick in presentations more than words. Why do we say that? You need to spend time in market. You need to be here. People need to see you. People here don't buy from strangers. Zoom and Teams, as Your Excellency spoke about, it's great to meet with people, but you need to be here to drink the qahwa and have the lunch, have the dinner, and people love the face-to-face interaction. So a sharp plan. Why should someone pay a premium for what you do? You need to nail that story, source of origin, the connection to the land, the right partner. Without one, you lose to someone who has one. The UAE is a fast-paced country. So being here this week is fantastic. You're in the spotlight, but the next couple of weeks, someone else will be. So unless you're constantly here and you've got a really good partner, you risk being forgotten. And lastly, I'll just put this picture up. NZ-UAE are in Dubai. We've got an office in Emirates Towers, just on Sheikh Zayed Road, part of the consulate. And the team and I are here to help. This is during the celebration of the signing of the CEPA back in Dubai in January. If you think about the Middle East or the UAE, we're here to help. And thank you. I will try and see how to stop sharing. I hope this has worked. Great. I will now introduce our panelists. Carmen, founder and CEO of Velocity, a globally recognized entrepreneur with 20 plus years experience, driving innovation and creating impact through technology and data. An award-winning property data and analytics platform transforming value, real estate, and mortgage lending in more than 3,500 cities globally. Great to have you, Carmen. Craig has an extensive background. He's CEO of Vidaco, extensive background in general management, sales, and marketing, director positions, a track record of growing and developing health and wellness brands and businesses, both locally and globally. Great to have you both. I'll hand over to you to introduce yourself and your company before we jump into some of these questions. Carmen, over to you.
Thank you, Ahmad, and lovely to see you, Mr. Ambassador, again. Amazing progress and momentum in the UAE. So at Velocity, we believe digital ecosystems are the foundation of future-proof property markets. And born in New Zealand, one of the world's most advanced digital infrastructure, government and lending environments, we've spent over a decade transforming property valuations and the mortgage workflows through secure data, AI and digital platforms. Today, we're really excited and proud to be scaling this capability in the United Arab Emirates, fully aligned to the nation's ambition to become a global digital hub and to build the world's smartest cities. So Velocity already powers mortgage valuations and workflows across 95% of lenders in New Zealand, across Australia with banks like Commonwealth Bank of Australia and ING, across India with over 20 lenders, and now in the UAE, enabling lenders, government bodies to digitize the end-to-end property decisioning process. And by integrating national data sets with AI decisioning and secure digital infrastructure, we help accelerate digital transformation in the property sector and mortgage lending and mortgage approvals, as well as ESG and climate sustainability goals. Certainly, as Ahmad said, the UAE's pace of innovation, combined with its vision for AI, open data, and 100% digital services, presents an extraordinary opportunity for New Zealand tech companies, and their desire to do business, the speed, the buzz, the pace, is literally unparalleled to anywhere else in the world. Velocity's commitment is to partner with government, with leading lenders, with industry leaders in property construction to support these national digital objectives, unlocking data, powering smarter lending, and delivering the digital infrastructure that powers faster decisions through our AI and data. So New Zealand was one of the first countries in the world to digitize property valuations, and the UAE has the ambition to be the best country in the world. So our role is to connect this innovation across the nation so we create a future of property that is faster, smarter, and digitally sustainable. And that future is definitely here now. I just got back from Dubai a week ago, and I will be returning on Monday, Ahmad, as I mentioned. So we're spending a lot of time there. It's a very exciting market.
Great example of being in market, Carmen. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Look forward to it.
Thanks. Craig, over to you.
Thanks very much, and thank you to everybody for the opportunity. So, as Ahmed has said, I'm the CEO of a company called Vitaco. Vitaco is New Zealand's largest and fastest growing health and wellness company. This year we'll do $400 million in revenue for the business, and around about 50% of that is derived from our export sales. I'm very proud to say that we manufacture 80% of everything that we sell in our manufacturing site in South Auckland and East Tamaki, where we've spent over $75 million in manufacturing investment over the last 3 or 4 years to prepare ourselves for incremental export revenues. As I said, 50% of our sales come out of our exports revenue, out of our exporting businesses, and our leading brands include Masashi, which is the largest sports nutrition brand in New Zealand and Australia, Healtheries, which is the largest vitamin brand in New Zealand, Nutrilife, which is the second or third largest brand in New Zealand, and most recently we've launched a brand called Athena, which is the first women's dedicated sports nutrition brand in the world. In reference to UAE, we launched Healtheries into the UAE market approximately 3 months ago, and we launched Masashi into the UAE market about 6 or 7 months ago. So we're in our initial stages of what we believe will be a very exciting and successful incremental international expansion plan for the Vitaco business, and we're looking forward to growing our business in UAE and into further markets in the Gulf area.
Thanks, Craig. And it's certainly great to see your products on the shelves in the UAE. I've gone through one of the stores and I've seen it. It was just great. I've got a couple of questions, so I'll fire some questions over to you, Carmen and Craig, just to mix it. Carmen, this one is to you. Why did you choose the UAE?
That's a really great question. And I think before you go anywhere, you need to look at 3 things. One is, will you have product market fit? And the UAE, because we're successful in India, it's very similar from what we're doing there. So we knew we would have product market fit. The second is, what is happening in the macroeconomic market, and is the market ready for your product? And certainly, from the government ambitions for digital, from every bank wanting to deliver a better, faster, more seamless customer experience, and at the same time, the real estate and property market growing faster than ever before. Ahmad touched on migration. You just have to be in the UAE and you see cranes everywhere. You go to Abu Dhabi and all the way between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, you see cranes everywhere. So it's a growth market. So macroeconomically, it was right. And then the third is culturally, do they want to do business with you? And are you ready to build those relationships? And then, commercially, number 4 is their margin to actually be profitable and get all of those things right. And it was the perfect market for that. It makes it very easy to do business and set up. There is infrastructure around for global businesses to work with global law, and they've really promoting that in a very successful way. And all of the macroeconomic things supported us. And we've also been very lucky to have Ahmed and his team of New Zealand Trade and Enterprise also support us to understand the market really quickly. So all of those things, product market fit, macroeconomic growth, digital adoption, and commercial viability really stacked up for us to be there.
Awesome. Thanks, Carmen. Yeah, the digital, I've taken better, faster customer experience. That is, you can see that across the board. I think that is, everyone is striving for it. Without the customer experience, the competition will be there to take over your customers. So that's a really good, valid point. Craig, how have you been finding it till you got listed into the UAE?
Yeah, well, I think, again, maybe to just backtrack, and so why did we go into the UAE? Health and wellness are now becoming very important, incremental or new considerations, I think, for UAE, but also to the broader Middle East market and region. And being a leading health and wellness company, it just seems sensible for us to be able to move into this marketplace. How have we found it so far? Look, I think, as Carmen's already said, the excitement, the vibe, the energy, the growth, it's almost something you catch when you go there. It's just such a buzz about the place. And I'm finding it really exciting that now that we've got high quality distributors, we're getting that distribution into the supermarkets, into the gymnasiums, into the sports specialty stores. And we're now building the distribution which you need to be able to then start to really market your brand. So it's never easy to go into a new market. And one of the most important attributes is getting the right partners to work with. And you're often going to spend more time working to find the right partner before you actually go into that next stage of launching. So we spent quite a bit of time finding the right partners. I'm happy to say we've now got those partners, and now we're seeing our acceleration of store distribution, and we will commence above the line advertising activity in the first quarter of next year, because by that time we'll have the confidence that we've got more places where a consumer can pick up our products and purchase them. So how do we find it? Slow to start with, but now accelerating quickly as we've got the right people we're working with.
Great, highlighting that point. I'm just going to go back into this one, finding that right partner and the importance of it. What research did you do to find that partner? And, I'm sure there were a couple, as you and I remember, but what made a specific partner stand out?
Well, I think we've all touched on it. You've got to be there. You've got to be in the marketplace. You've got to be able to talk to a whole lot of people. And a big call out to the NZTE team here. Your guys opened up doors to a whole lot of companies for us. And also at the different conferences and congresses, we had the opportunity to talk to 20, 30, 40 potential distributors. And our guys were there filtering from the possible to the probable to the highly unlikely. And then it was just sitting down and talking with people and interrogating them, quite frankly, about what really they can do versus what they said they could do when they first spoke to you. Because you've got to be careful. Everyone can do everything until you start asking a few questions, and you find out, well, they can't really do it. But you've got to be able to ask the right questions consistently. And you've probably got to ask 50 people, and then maybe you'll get one or two or three that are right. And then interrogate their capabilities. And the only way you can really interrogate with thoroughness, you've got to be there talking to them on their premises. Proof that they can actually move the stock. Proof they've got relationships with retailers. Proof that they're doing it already with other companies. And again, it comes back to the same thing. Be in market as consistently and often as you can, and spend time with these people and really get to connect and get to know them.
Awesome. Yep. I was going to ask you the following question, but I think you've already answered. What would you tell other Kiwi companies about entering the market?
I would say be prepared to spend money. You can't go up there on one trip and think you're going to do it all in 4 days and then go back down to Auckland or Tauranga or wherever and think you've done it. If you're going to go, be committed and know that you are going to have to spend a lot of time traveling from Auckland or Wellington or Christchurch or wherever into Dubai and spending time in the market and getting to know people. If you're going to go there and go, oh, maybe I'll have a go, don't bother. Because the other thing is the people in UAE, they're going to suss you out and go, you're not serious. I got other things to do with my time than talk to you. So be committed and be serious and spend time working out, is this market big enough? Is it right? And do you have a point of difference with your product, your brand, or your service that has the right to succeed in the UAE market and the other markets in the region? If you don't have a point of difference, again, don't bother.
Yeah, I would add to that and exactly concur. It is about product market fit. You need to be solving a known product there. Otherwise, there's lots of competition. Everybody wants to work in the UAE. It's a wonderful place to be. Permanent summer, beautiful restaurants. Everyone wants to be there. But it's also the same for India, where we are. There's a lot of competition if you're in tech. So you do need to spend the time to understand how to tell the story to fit the problem that you're solving. And in terms of commitment, it does take time. On my last visit, we had multiple clients showing us their digital strategy with us included in the strategy. But it was like a hallelujah moment. We've been doing many, many visits to get to the stage to keep on the conversation. But for the value of the market, why would you not do that? And so would I get on a domestic plane or would I do a closer flight? Not for the same opportunity that I would go to the UAE. Hence, we keep on going back and as Craig said, everybody does fall in love with it. When I was there a week ago with one of our Australian really senior staff, they were like, "How do I move my family here? This is where the opportunity is. It's an amazing hub for the region, and the pace and the energy and the speed is really, really catchy. So you do need to get on a plane."
Thank you for the comments. The accessibility from the UAE to the other markets, we see a lot of new exporters basing their staff or their office in Dubai. Just, UAE is a target, but it's also such an easy place to connect to Africa, to Europe. And we see that a lot more. You can jump on a plane. I've lost count of how many planes there are to Saudi per day, or to just a city in Riyadh, or to Africa, to Joburg, to Cape Town. There's always an easy connection to get somewhere for that next meeting. So yeah, spot on. Carmen, what has been the most challenging aspect of entering the market?
I think it is getting the right people on the ground, or you're thinking that you're hiring locally, and somebody that knows somebody, but that doesn't necessarily mean you've got the right people on the ground. And I think Craig talked to it to partners. So we don't partner, we go direct, but getting the right people on the ground is always challenging. And so I think it's also understanding that the benefit of going yourself and really understanding what the meanings are around some of the conversations and what the opportunities are and what you need to change to really resonate with the local market. So certainly that was a challenge. The distance is a challenge, but Emirates does make it very easy with their direct flight. So, they do a beautiful job. And as you say, it does connect to everywhere else. So for us, it's we had our team in Saudi last week off the back of the UAE success. So it gives you confidence across the region. So, some of those things, once you've overcome the challenges, they make it worth it, because when you're sizing the market, you're not just sizing UAE. You should be looking at the region. And we're having the conversation with some of our banks to say, well, you're in Qatar, you're in Egypt, you're in Saudi. Now that this is working really well, will you introduce us to your others? And it's a hub and spoke model from their head office. So that's also been really positive. And I think it's just having the patience as an entrepreneur. We want things to happen fast. But recognizing every digital journey has to fit you into the journey for when your part's ready. And but it looks like for us, the patience is finally paying off.
Awesome to hear. Carmen, I'm going to ask you a question I asked back in Auckland, which started a lot of conversations afterwards. How does payment work in the UAE?
Yeah, I think, we learned a lot from New Zealand Trade and Enterprise. Actually, you don't know what you don't know. And I think, that's a really important thing to recognize. You can go on a plane every 6 weeks or wherever many weeks, but you don't know what you don't know. So New Zealand Trade and Enterprise has beachhead advisors that also talk to you about how business is done on the ground, which are things you can't read about or find out about on ChatGPT or by flying in and out. But for us, we de-risked it by doing a setup fee, a very large setup fee for our very first bank. So we totally de-risked it for us that it was a no-brainer to come to the market. And we probably didn't go high enough in hindsight vision. I said an amount and then I went, oh, and that's US. And they went, okay. And so we did a signing agreement with a setup fee to de-risk it for us to go to market. So you do need to understand how each market's different. So for us, it's a platform license in the UAE, whereas India, they like to pay per click. So really understanding the fundamentals of your product in the market is really important.
Thanks, Carmen. Conscious of time, I've got one last question to you, Craig. Looking back, what would you do different, and what did you wish you'd known?
Because we're working with healthcare products, they all need to be registered with the appropriate authorities in Dubai or other parts of UAE. Being able to identify the best possible regulatory company based in Dubai, and then having their commitment to getting our product registered as quickly as possible was really important. So if you are in that sort of space, find a good regulatory support to be able to get permission to take your products into the market. And I think probably we did quite a lot of test and learn. Probably now with the benefit of hindsight, I would have been more bullish, more aggressive, and getting into the market more quickly. So if you think you've got a point of difference, be confident and bullish enough to get out there and actually try as hard as you can and commit resources to making it work as quickly as you can.
Thanks, Craig. Back to you, Josh.
Ahmed, thank you so much. And to you as well, Carmen and Craig. Look, I think we could have listened to you guys talk to each other for the rest of the afternoon, but we do have some questions that have come in. We do have a panel here of our government officials as well who are ready to take some questions. Just bear in mind, as well, as a reminder, you're able to send through your questions using the Q&A function, and the team here will send them through to me to read out. The audience microphones will remain muted throughout the session. We have Ahmed, we've got Carmen, we've got Craig, Georgette and Barney available to answer your questions. We've also got Nicholas Baldwin, who is a senior analyst from New Zealand Customs, also joining us in case there are any rules of origin or documentation requirement questions from the audience. Nicholas, if I can ask you maybe to join us, we'll scooch over. And I will, as you're moving over, I will give you the first question since we haven't heard from you yet. The preferential tariff treatment is obviously sort of where the rubber hits the road for accessing the benefits of these free trade agreements. How do businesses go about actually claiming that preference?
Under the CEPA, claim to be eligible for preferential treatment is based on a certificate of origin. And this has to be issued by the competent body who are approved by either New Zealand Customs or Ministry of the Economy in the UAE. For New Zealand, these are the Auckland Business Chamber, Trade Window Origin Limited, Otago Chamber of Commerce, Canterbury Employers Chamber of Commerce, and Wellington Chamber of Commerce. We're in the process of adding one more provider, but at the moment these are the only ones available to issue certificates of origin for the UAE CEPA. These can be found on the Customs UAE CEPA webpage, clicking through business, tariffs, free trade agreements, and finding the UAE CEPA page. Unfortunately, we're still working through the process for approving exporters for self-declaration, but we hope to get a notification up on that shortly. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Nicholas. Ahmed, Craig, Carmen, I've got a question here which was sent through as part of the registrations. What is the best way to protect our trademarks in the UAE, given that every product is required to be registered in the country before it's able to be imported? The commentator then goes on to say, I don't believe registration can be achieved by those companies located outside the UAE. Is there a comment there from either of you?
You should be able to get your trademark registered. You don't have to be in the market to be able to say that we intend to move into the UAE and therefore we'll commence IP protection. I think if you're going to be an international business, you need to start establishing your IP protection as soon as you possibly can. And as soon as you start to get a little bit famous, people are going to try and copy you. So work with your IP lawyers, work with your patent officers. You can start to get trademarks done straight away. You don't have to wait to be in situ in the marketplace to do that.
Yeah, fully agree. And I think that's probably something that New Zealand companies don't do as well as they could. And we certainly had those lessons that set up global from day one, but also make sure you grab all the domain names, grab all the trademarks, and make your collateral sound global. And we had to do a lot of work after great success in New Zealand, even though we had the global ambition. We weren't ready. We didn't sound global. We sounded like a little Kiwi company that was only in New Zealand. And, actually really thinking about that is really important. And you can become unstuck because your competitors will grab your brand names if you don't.
I mean, we're battling with that now, not necessarily in UAE, but in other markets. People are just copying healtheries and then putting products in the market. And you've got to be bullish and just take them on. But the most important thing you can do is protect your IP, your trademarks now. Just do it.
Yeah, our competitor in our next market actually took our trademark, even though they knew it was us deliberately, and we had to send them a letter. So, we haven't had issues in the UAE like you, but everybody else we have.
It's a very good point. It's interesting because when we look at it, it's because we're not the ones that are actually doing it. It's you need to have an Emirates ID or a company set up, either a freeze or something, but you need to be here. Craig, were you able to achieve it from New Zealand with a New Zealand company?
Yeah. You can do all of your global trade marketing through your intellectual property lawyers across the globe. You can do it locally. I really, 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 really would recommend to anybody, you've got to protect your trademarks. You've got to protect your brands.
There's just been a further addition to that question around product registration as opposed to trademark registrations. What's the best way to achieve that?
Well, we work with a company, I'll give you a name. They're called Elegant Services. They're a Dubai-based regulatory company. They'll register healthcare products, vitamins, supplements, skincare products. They're very good. And that we use them to get all of our products, all of our vitamin products, all of our sports nutrition products registered with the local authorities. But there are a number of companies there. But you got to go local. You got to go to the experts in Dubai to get those approvals done.
Cool. Thanks, Craig. Maybe one here for Barney. How does the Māori and Indigenous trade element of the agreement specifically and practically benefit Māori export businesses seeking to enter the UAE market?
Thanks, Josh. I guess the Indigenous trade chapter has a number of objectives and functions, but at its base, it is about connecting Māori exporters, with partners in the UAE. It is about ensuring that New Zealand's sort of interests in the Māori export economy, can be discussed sort of between government officials and between agencies. And also, there will be particular products of interest to Māori exporters, which will be recognised in a chapter like that. So fundamentally, it's about establishing those connections and building those relationships, which, as we've been hearing, is fundamental to doing business successfully in the Gulf.
Thank you. A question here, which is both online and I've got one on my sheet, back to Nicholas. Do you still need to have a UAE consulate to endorse all of your export documentation? If so, what are the charges? Would it still be based on the invoice value, and which consulates do you go to?
Thanks, Josh. Unfortunately, consularisation is still required by the UAE despite the CEPA. However, the UAE consularisation process doesn't require citing the stamping paperwork like consulate attestations in some countries. It's done electronically with a set fee of 150 dirham, which is about 75 New Zealand dollars, for shipments over 10,000 dirham, which is about 5,000 New Zealand. And this is instead of a ad valorem fee, which is very good. As I understand it, the value would be customs value, which is covered by the customs valuation agreement. But in short, this just means that, yes, it'll be in the first instance, the invoice value. And because it's online, this can be done through the United Arab Emirates Ministry of Foreign Affairs website. Though in practice, we understand that often it's been the importer that's doing this. So it's important to check with both your customs broker and importer when exporting the UAE to deconflict this. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, so an important part there, which you need to get accreditation from the consulate online, which is one thing which we probably should include in our email through as well. Question here for Georgette. So look, there are a number of pet food and also honey companies that have registered for this webinar. Is there anything, quite broadly, that they need to know if they're looking to export to the UAE?
Yeah, so
just for your mic as well.
Oh,
Yep.
So as I sort of mentioned earlier, we've had really good access for primary sector products to the UAE for a little while. The CEPA is building on that relationship. I'd certainly encourage, if you're a new exporter generally, I'm going to put a plug in for the MPI website. We have a really good step-by-step process on how to export product from New Zealand. If you're already a registered exporter, familiar with the process, I'd encourage you to have a look. We have certainly for animal products, look at the Overseas Market Access Requirements document. We have access for a lot of sector commodities. There's a lot of guidance in there around what requirements you need to meet, what documents you might need. If you've still got questions or are unsure, as Josh mentioned earlier, we do have a fabulous regulatory advice service, and I understand that email address will be provided later. I believe it's also on the MFAT website. But certainly encourage you, if you've still got questions, just ask. Like, we're all really keen to assist. And it's easy for us to provide information. If we don't know the answer, we will find it. So please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Georgette. Perhaps one here for Ahmed. So New Zealand wine exports to the UAE have been in good growth in recent months. This is as a result. Is this as a result of the 10% tariff reduction? Or is there changing attitudes to drinking Sauvignon Blanc, given it is seen as more lifestyle friendly, cool and crisp, etc.?
Would love to know that. Would love to see that this is from the CEPA and take and say that it is. The reality is we need to wait and see. CEPA, we've got the tariff reduction, but the leveraging around the CEPA and having the New Zealand name up in the media quite a lot is fantastic. That's on top of the agreement itself. We've seen a big increase in exports. I think around the minister announced about 56% increase in exports in September alone to the UAE, which is great. We can only wait and see the quarter by quarter across all products if that is direct from the CEPA. But the 10% tariff reduction, it does make it cheaper than other brands or other countries, which is great. And New Zealand is known as from the research that we've done and in that space, New Zealand is rated higher in these categories, which is great to see. So hope that answers the question.
Yeah, perfect. Craig, one here for you. When you have had your distribution partners appointed, how frequently are you or your key sales staff visiting the market? And what are the most effective KPIs that you or your team set to keep the distributor focused on your brand's sales? Great question.
Yeah, great question. We've just appointed a dedicated account manager whose only role is to keep the Middle East going and growing fast. I expect that person will be in the market at least every 3 to 4 months for a week to 3 weeks. He's going up there in January for basically the entire month. So he will be connecting face to face at least 3 or 4 times a year, and then on an unrelenting weekly and monthly basis to keep them honest and focused. The most important thing to do is to create a business plan that's got monthly, quarterly, and annual targets, promotional calendars of activity, and you are constantly keeping the distributor on track towards those goals. I think there's carrot and there's stick. There's carrots about being able to achieve certain targets and potentially having incremental rewards, but the stick is we've applied a plan, we've agreed to a plan, and you need to unrelentingly deliver on that plan. But the other part of it is you've got to win their hearts and not just the minds of these of our partnerships. It's a partnership. It's not a transactional relationship between you and another person. You want to be able to sort of create the sense that the distributor is part of your company and that they're emotionally connected to the company as much as we are emotionally connected to the company. You can only do that by frequency of contact, human interaction, cups of tea, cups of coffee, and communication. So engage at a human level as well as a commercial level consistently and create a partnership with your distributors, not a transactional relationship.
So I'm just going to add a couple of comments. I love this question, and thank you, Craig, for that reply. It's being frequent in market, but also being genuine and in love with your product, and that's how you stand out. You can be here all year long, but if it's just transactional and you're just looking at commercials, you're not going to be successful because it's the story, it's the how this is actually a difference. But I'll give a small example as well for one of our customers in a specific sector. They built their success by having someone here about 1 to 2 weeks every other month. They saw their sales quadruple. So it was 13x in the past 22 months just by being here 2 weeks every time they're here, every couple of weeks, just to be in front of their customers, just to follow up. Sometimes you'll get more questions by just being face-to-face rather than just emails because talking to one another actually generates more. Oh, and we had this, and let me introduce you to someone else. That doesn't happen on Zoom. It actually happens in the office, in their headquarters, and that's when things really progress. So that is a fantastic example. And that specific company have been trying for a while, but haven't gained traction until they got someone there, sort of like an account manager that's really focused on the Middle East, understand the UAE, and then they saw the growth.
Great, thanks both of you. A question here: who do we contact for regulatory support for beverages, both non-alcoholic and alcoholic? Thanks. That'd be either MPI or MFAT.
Yeah, MPI. Yes, so you can feed that through the regulatory advice service that I spoke of before. They are a real overarching. They also have an import function as well. I'll just add that, but go there first and they will find where that needs to go.
Cool. Thanks, Georgette. I've got so many pieces of paper in front of me now. Look, a question here from the red meat industry. Just curious about general dining trends, particularly luxury and premium restaurants. Perhaps, Ahmed, if you could answer that one. Craig, Carmen, you've both been in market. Perhaps it's a little bit outside of your areas of your businesses, but if you've got any other insights there as well.
Yep. To Carmen's point, I mean, restaurants here, there is a high turnover of restaurants, so the opportunities, but the challenges also are there. Because competition is high, you'll see some of the great restaurants stay, and then other restaurants that are on shaky grounds and don't have the proper P&L leave. So it is, the UAE. I think it was in Christchurch when the question was asked is how many different nationalities in the UAE. I think Your Excellency pointed out it was 195 different nationalities in the UAE. Maybe that number is around that figure, but it is there's lots of cultures. So investing in heavy campaigns such as Michelin Guide, know exactly where you're targeting for the red meat, if it's Ras Al Khaimah or Abu Dhabi, and which category of the restaurants, and we can help you. So reach out to us, and we can take this and we can share the red meat sector as well report that we generated, which is also on my entity.
Yeah, I think it depends on the context of your restaurant, but anyone that's doing business in the UAE, it's really worth understanding the thinking of the history. And it was great to see Ahmad share a little bit of the stories of where they've come, but also the ambition of where they're going. And typically in the UAE, if someone's going to do something, they want to be the best. They want to do it very well. They want it to be future-proof. And it's amazing. And I missed the Museum of the Future annual grouping of futurists last week because of all the travel. But actually, when you think about, they're very futurist, and it comes across in everything that they want to do things well. So, wherever you stay, there are a very high caliber, high quality, and a lot of competition of very, very good restaurants. If you stay at the Atlantis, you have your choice of Michelin star restaurants all in one complex, and that's just one example. So it is really high class, good quality, good competition, and they want to do the best. So if it's New Zealand beautiful food for exports, then I imagine it's a successful market.
Cool, thanks both. A question here for Nicholas. What are the key rules of origin requirements, and how does customs look to verify compliance?
Thank you. To qualify as originating, your goods need to be either wholly obtained or produced entirely in New Zealand or the UAE, or produced entirely from non-originating goods, provided that the goods meet the product-specific rules in Annex 3A. For Annex 3A, there are 3 types of rules. This is typically a change in tariff classification, where your good needs to move up or down the tariff. And then there's a value content rule, which sets the minimum level of value, which producers in New Zealand or the UAE must contribute towards the ex-works price of the goods. And for some goods, there's a process rule where you need to meet a simple change. Where there's more than one rule provided, these are treated as co-equal, and you can choose the one that you can most easily meet. You will need to record the origin criteria on the certificate of origins, and it is important to remember that you need to be able to show this through your record keeping, both under the CEPA and New Zealand customs law. There are I think there's about a 5-year period for keeping records. And this goes to how customs verifies these claims. Initially, we'll just check the certificate of origin. But if we're unsure, then we can go to the supporting documents, the bill of lading, invoices, etc., and see if there's enough information there to support the transformation or production claims. If we're still unsure, then we can, under the CEPA, we can commence a verification process and get more information from either the company or the exporting customs. And at the very last stage, we can commence a verification business to a producer's premise. Just an important note, we've had some issues both into New Zealand and into the UAE where traders have been obtaining non-preferential certificates of origin from chambers of commerce that have not been certified. So I go back to my earlier point, do go through the ones that are listed on the customs website. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Nicholas. One final question here, and I'll give it to Ahmed, but open to anyone else that has any comments. Given the UAE's position as both a regional hub and a rapidly diversifying economy, where do you see the next wave of opportunities for New Zealand exporters post-CEPA, particularly in food systems, green technologies, and digital trade? Great question.
Billion-dollar question. Where's the next wave of opportunities? I was just reading that question. Thank you. We see a big. I mean, we measure how many questions are being asked from our exporters through ISRs, the International Service Request is what we call it. And we've seen a big wave of F&B come through to the UAE. So I know the team and I, and particularly the F&B, are very busy with just answering a lot of the questions. But saying that as well, specialized manufacturing, tech and services has seen a massive wave of requests, both inbound and outbound. So UAE asking and inquiring directly to specific companies, but also those sectors saying, "Oh, we see that opportunity in coming in." The creative sector as well into Abu Dhabi. It really depends. If you're looking at Dubai, digital fintech, real estate, Abu Dhabi, creative sector, and some others. There's also some of the areas between Abu Dhabi and Al Ain, for an example. That is a big focus for agri-tech, and we've got some companies working in the vertical farming, building vertical farming as a food security, but also as another way of just the ordinary green farming. So food systems is that's more around the specialized manufacturing. You have to know specifically where you're going and understand the customers. UAE might or might not be, but being here, you'll actually see where's the opportunity. Is it in Saudi, North Africa, somewhere else? And a lot of those companies will have someone based in the UAE, or they're just opening another site out. So building those relationships with the headquarters here or around, and going into those offsites. And we're seeing more and more New Zealand companies basing themselves in the UAE and setting up offices. So that is a good sign. We'd love to know I don't know what sector you're in from that question, but please reach out, and the team and I would be happy to see where you fit in.
Cool. Any final comments?
I'd just like to add that something that hasn't been spoken about, but I think it's a really interesting incremental marketing feature, is that the New Zealand story, which is part of the NZTE, have got this symbol called the fern mark. And it's a way of distinguishing products on the label with the fern. And that really starts to help to establish the New Zealand origin of products. And we're really finding that that's going to be an interesting incremental attribute to put on our brands. And just having that mark gives a sense of quality and knowledge that it's a New Zealand-based product, and that adds another point of differentiation. Now, we position Healtheries as the #1 and most trusted vitamin brand in New Zealand, and having the fern mark on there just gives it almost that tick of authority. So to any of these other incremental other additional marketing companies, reach out to NZTE and New Zealand Story and find out whether the fern mark can help in your entry point into the UAE and other parts of the Middle East.
Excellent.
And I'd probably just add the other thing that wasn't mentioned in those list of opportunities is AI. So everybody's saying they're doing the AI, but the UAE wants to be the best country in the world in AI by 2031. And the investment coming in with Microsoft, Google, Palantir, AI hubs, data analytics centers. So it's not just digital and it's not just tech. It's also any NZ tech that's particularly focused around AI. The adoption and the decision making, this is a really massive focus, and this is a market that doesn't just say they want to do things, they do. So I think that's a huge other opportunity for us to pick up. And then, of course, everybody does see that Dubai has done things really quickly, and we know in Saudi and other markets, the fact that we're in UAE really does help you across the region.
Fantastic. Look, that is all the time that we have today. On behalf of our audience, can I please thank Barney Riley, Georgette Soppert, Nicholas Baldwin, Ahmed Zakut, our Trade Commissioner over in Dubai at the moment, His Excellency the Ambassador for the UAE, Rashid Al-Ghimzi, and also to Craig Kearney and Carmen Vislich as well. Some fantastic points and hints for our exporters, some really good insights and advice here from our government agencies as well. Can I thank our partners that have come together to bring you this webinar, along with Export New Zealand, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, New Zealand Trade and Enterprise, Ministry for Primary Industries, New Zealand Customs, and our friends, of course, from the New Zealand Middle East Business Council. Unfortunately, they couldn't join the webinar today, but we will have their details in the post-event email too. And on that, as I said, all of the links and websites will be sent through to you after this webinar. If we didn't get through to one of your questions, our officials will also endeavour to send an answer out to you. If you have any other further questions too, please do not hesitate to reach out to the partners through those email addresses which will be provided. Thanks again for joining us. Please enjoy your evenings and mā te wā. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.